Updates coming in. Prime Minister Modi has landed in Oman and has been given the Guard of Honor by the Oman Forces. This visit comes as a part of his three-nation tour, is what we are learning. Brian Thomas, my colleague, is joining us on the broadcast to talk more about this. Oman, the Prime Minister's visit to three countries, coming in Oman now. Of course, he's getting that ceremonial treatment wherever he goes. But Oman is a very important country when it comes to bilateral agreements and bilateral relationship. All right, well, Brian is going to be joining us in a moment. But the Prime Minister is in Oman. And these are some live shots coming in from Oman at this point in time. The Prime Minister is on a 3-day visit. He's concluded. In fact, this is going to be the last leg of his three-country tour. And Brian is joining us on the broadcast to talk more about this. Brian, obviously, India-Oman ties extremely important, rooted in culture, history, and of course, India's outreach towards the Gulf and the African Union continues.
Well, yes, as of now, the Prime Minister has arrived in Oman, marking the final stop of his 4-day three-nation diplomatic tour that included visits to Jordan, Ethiopia. Again, this visit takes place as both India and Oman celebrate 70 years of diplomatic relations, underlining deep historical ties, and very importantly, he is also expected to hold comprehensive talks with Sultan Haitham bin Tariq on strategic economic and security cooperation, and also addressing regional and global issues of mutual interest. And even an FTA between both India and Oman is likely to be signed during this visit. That is also aimed at enhancing bilateral trade and investment, particularly boosting sectors such as you talk about energy, you talk about services, you talk about technology and commerce itself. Yes, Vinny.
Brian, stay with us. Prime Minister Modi has welcomed the Paramveer Gallery at Rashtrapati Bhavan and said that the portraits displayed there are I apologize for that. We're going to continue tracking the Prime Minister's visit in Oman. And like Brian said, that this is a significant stop for the Prime Minister, if we can call it that. India and Oman, the Prime Minister, of course, has solved a number of bilateral issues with Oman in the past as well. People-to-people ties have blossomed over the last decade and a half because of the outreach that India has managed to cultivate in the country, and of course not to forget the diaspora that lives and works out of Oman is going to be thankful for the Prime Minister for establishing this kind of a camaraderie. Brian, my colleague, still with us on the broadcast. Brian, if you're there with us, the Prime Minister, of course, always manages to engage with the diaspora. And when it comes to Oman, Brian, they have a huge Indian diaspora over there. And, you know, the people-to-people relationship and ties have improved in the last decade and a half, Brian. But there have been some problems as well with Indians who live in Oman. And I'm sure the Prime Minister is going to put in a word about that too.
We are literally talking about celebration of 70 years of diplomatic relations. Again, underlining deep historical ties, and the Prime Minister will be taking into account the Indians who are staying in Oman and discussing the problems. Again, he will be holding comprehensive talks to strengthen the strategic economic security cooperation. And not only that, very importantly, Vinny, when you mentioned, yes, he will be addressing regional and global issues of mutual interest between the two very nations itself. Vinny.
All right, Brian. Appreciate you joining us. Thank you for that. All right, the Prime Minister is in Oman at this point in time. Like Brian also said, that the people-to-people tie is extremely important between these two nations. Ambassador Suresh Kumar Goel, somebody who understands these sensitive matters, especially when it comes to Gulf countries, is joining us on the program. Ambassador Goel, how important are ties with Oman, keeping in mind that the Gulf has been volatile, will continue to be volatile for a number of reasons, and India does bring a certain amount of gravitas into the equation when it comes to stability in any region for that matter?
Absolutely, with our relationship with Oman is very important for one simple reason, that while our relationship in the Gulf with many other countries has been one impacted by factors of oil, energy, terrorism, there have been multiple other issues which have impacted, including the one in terms of the OIC relationship. Our relationship with Oman has remained unimpacted, unaffected by those extraneous factors, and has been one of effective cooperation all along. In fact, for more than 3 decades that I remember, it has been excellent relationship, both in terms of energy relationship, in terms of people-to-people ties, culture. In fact, if you remember, historically, a rupee was a currency in Oman, and people in Oman, including the king, the Sultan, Qaboos, remembers all this very well, that India and Oman have been tied historically through commerce and through people. So on the whole, very effective relationship, which will also impact on our overall Gulf cooperation.
Yes. Ambassador Goel, there's also this conversation about the kafala system and, labor issues in Oman. Is that something, do you think, that will be on the Prime Minister's mind? Because in 2025, a number of such problems were reported, to the Indian Embassy in Oman.
Let me put it this way. Every country have their own system, which are guided by the traditions, by the rituals, by the system that has prevailed over a period of time. But even in those cases in Oman, I found that whenever there were problems, there were issues, complicated, we were able to basically talk to the government in Oman and resolve them as far as possible. Therefore, what I would say is that we should not expect miracles. We should realize that Oman is a deeply traditional country. They will continue to honor those traditions. We can't change them. But they will cooperate with India, and they will respect Indian sensitivities, keeping all those factors in mind. And I think we can expect their cooperation to the extent possible.
All right. So appreciate you joining us.
Thank you.
All right, Prime Minister Modi.